Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Tills Tell Stories for Saturday night. The title of this week's video is Abraham's Jewel. I adapted this Hasidic story from the Chazon newsletter, whose source was an out-of-print book, Giants of Jewelry by Aaron Sarasky. Rabbi Yosef Ber Halevi Soloveitchik of Volozhin was the great-grandson of Rabbi Chaim Ishkevitz of Volozhin, who was the main student of the Vilna Gaon and the progenitor of the Lithuanian yeshiva movement. He was an influential teacher in the famed yeshiva of Volozhin and subsequently the chief rabbi and Rosh Yeshiva of Brisk. He is often referred to as the Beit Levi, after his important books of Torah thought. His great-grandson, Rabbi Yosef B. Soloveitchik of Boston and Yeshiva University, was named after him. Rabbi Chaim Halevi Soloveitchik lectured in his father's Volozhin yeshiva for many years. In 1892, after Rabbi Yosef Ber's passing, he became the chief rabbi and Rosh Yeshiva of Brisk. His analytical method of in-depth study of Talmud revolutionized the study of Talmud until his very day. In the early years of his marriage, Rabbi Yosef Ber lived in the home of his Hasidic father-in-law, Rabbi Yitzchak Ephron in Volozhin. One time, his then infant son Chaim, who was later become the renowned Rabbi Chaim Brisker, became critically ill. The doctors who were summoned by Rabbi Yosef Ber were powerless to help his son. Just then, the Hasidic Rabbi Moshe of Kubrin, who always stayed at the Ephron home when he visited Volozhin, happened to come to town. Despite the crisis in Rabbi Yitzchak's house, the tzaddik followed the advice of our sages and did not change his lodgings. You can see Genesis chapter 13, verse 3 in last week's Torah reading and commentary for the basis of this advice. Rabbi Moshe Palayer of Kobrin was a close follower of the Rabbi Mordechai of Lechovich, and afterwards of his son Reb Noach. In 1833, he became the first Rebbe of the Kobrin dynasty, with thousands of Hasidim, including Rabbi Avraham Weinberg, who became the first Rebbe of Slonim. Many of the Kobrin and Slonim Hasidim subsequently moved to Eretz Israel. Not only did the Kobrin stay at the Ephrons, but when he heard about the sick child, he even startlingly requested that the table be set for a meal. Everyone was astonished, but Rabbi Yitzchak, who trusted the tzaddik, did his bidding. At the meal, all eyes turned to the Kobrin when he spoke. We learn in the Talmud, he said, in Baba Basra, that a precious jewel hung from the neck of our patriarch Avraham. Any ill person who gazed at it was immediately cured. What was this precious jewel, he asked? He then went on to answer his own question. The precious jewel of Avraham was the trait that he exemplified, kindness to others, as manifested in his boundless hospitality. This is the jewel that hung from his neck. When Avraham died, the Almighty hung it from the sun, the sphere that shines everywhere in the world. Whenever a Jew practices hospitality, the merit of God's beloved Avraham assists in healing the sick of his descendants through this jewel. Therefore, in the merit of Rabbi Yitzchak's hospitality at this very moment, the Kobrin concluded, his grandson Chaim should be cured speedily. Let the child focus his eyes upon the jewel, and he will be healed. And so it happened. And so may it happen to all the Jews around the world who need healing, whether physical, spiritual, or emotional. Shavua Tov.